Hey guys, here's the gear for today. Stirling Badger brush, their finest Badger brush, and Mitchell's wool fat, sheep tallow type soap, and I used it 2 days ago, so we should have some residual moisture. I shouldn't have to load for as long, for instance. The PolSilver stainless. It's not the super iridium that's been popular for the last few years for PolSilver. This is discontinued, and it was given to me as a gift, and then we report back. It's part of a contribution, a participation PIF, pay it forward PIF, where you get the item for free, you use it, and you just get on the thread online and post how it went, and everybody kind of plays around with that and reads it, and if it, we learn. All right, this has been soaking for a little while. I want to get him back in the water. I used this recently, this gold rocket from vintage Gillette. I told you guys how the little knob goes up into the handle, gets closer to the handle when you open the doors. It moves, unlike the super speeds and some of the other razors, the aristocrats. And so that makes it a rocket. I learned that recently. And I learned this is a really good example of a rocket. Most of them don't have this gold wash to this quality of finish. It was just apparently a thin type thing. I think I introduced all the stuff. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time shaving today. I think I've used, this might be the 6th shave. I think I've kind of forgotten to put dots a few times on my little wax paper here, so I don't think the 3 is accurate. But this is what the PolSilver stainless looks like. Alright, I got a nice shave last time with it, but I got some irritation. I'm thinking it might have been due to this soap, so I'm using a different soap today. Mitchell's wool fat. I got a nice lather from it a couple days ago, so I'm expecting the same today. Alright, let's load this soap into the brush. Take the brush out of the water. I like to shake most of it out because it gives me an objective kind of measurement to tell you guys. But if you want to do a shortcut, just don't shake out nearly as much water from your brush. It works with a lot of soaps, not all of them, but it kind of shortcuts you because it brings the water in with the soap all at the same time. And then if you go to the bowl, you don't have to add more later. Or potentially if you go to the face, then you've got it in your brush there to start working it in, so it can be a shortcut for you. All right, I did 45 seconds on a dry puck that hadn't been used in a very long time. Let's see if 30 seconds on a puck that was used 2 days ago. Let's see how that works. And I can probably tell you down just a little bit to see how it develops, because sometimes that's important. So 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to go to 50 on my counter there. Sometimes it's nice to see what happens as we're doing it right now, as we're loading. If immediately you get light bubbly stuff that just overflows, then you know something is different about your setup than mine. Now, of course, if you're trying to duplicate what I'm doing, you'll need the exact same brush and a puck that has only been used once and 2 days ago. And there we go, that is 30 seconds. Because a different brush is likely to pick up different amounts of soap, and that's the whole thing. Now there are general amounts, like 30 seconds is kind of my average. When in doubt, that's kind of what I use. And if the soap is hard and has been around for a while unused, I might tack a little bit onto that. All right. As you can see, it didn't really get, nothing overflowed or anything like that. So that's just going to differ depending. Sometimes if you get used to a soap base, this might be a sign, hey, I need to load a little bit more. However, it also might be a sign that we're just fine. So we'll see. We can always go back and get a little bit more in a minute. Before I start this, I want to get my face wet and let my stubble be softening. So let me do that. So the problem a couple days ago, the problem with my last shave, as I give you the lather cam footage here, was that, the feel of the razor was interesting. It wasn't like a carve or a Wolfman or even some of the vintage models that have a really nice grip on the razor blade. There was a little bit of singing, but it wasn't nearly as much as most of the razors that kind of do that. And so it did give me a little audio feedback, but it was very small. And so it looks like this Rocket does have a pretty good grasp, a pretty good grip close to the edge of the blade. It's not perfect, but it looks like it's good. And so this vintage blade, of course, it could be something that's different. It could make a different sound because of its material or thinness, that sort of thing. And I'll definitely be putting a more modern blade in this razor, and we'll see how things differ. But I ended up getting a little bit of irritation as I kind of drew near to the end of the shave. And it was kind of an all-over irritation instead of the kind I feel when maybe I have dinged a couple of little spots a little too closely with the razor, not generating any kind of weepers or anything, but just a little tenderness, light razor rash, and a couple of small spots. That happens every once in a while. But this was a different feeling. It felt more pervasive. It felt in larger patches. And so my guess was that perhaps there was some ingredient in this soap. It did have 10 different essential oils in that Le Perlucien traditional, which is like sage and some other scents like that. And so those 10 different essential oils, could one of those have given me a reaction? Yeah, could be. I usually don't respond to any negatively to ingredients, but could be. And that's what I'm guessing, due to the nature of the way it was so large. So we're gonna see if I get the same irritation today with a different soap, but the same blade and same razor. I think this blade's on its 5th or 6th shave, maybe 6th or 7th, and it's still very sharp. It's doing a great job at cutting nicely and cleanly. We've got 22 milliliters of water in the lather so far. Wonderful ergonomic little tiny handle here. This, of all the handles that are this length, which equals to me short, this may be the best design. Got a great grip on it. It's a relaxing type grip where you're not just trying to wrestle a greased pig to the ground. It's got an easy grip, positive grip. You feel like you feel very confident in your ability to keep a hold of it, and it's not wearing out your hand. And that lather's looking pretty good. Didn't take too long to get there. I was thinking maybe at the end of that loading that maybe I did need to go back and load a little bit more soap, but one thing we learned in Austere August is sometimes you cannot tell by looking at the brush. It just doesn't look like it has very much soap on there, but you just can't tell how much lather you're going to get, because some soaps are nice and concentrated, and you're just going to get plenty of lather from it, even though it may not look like it. And sure enough, you can see all that we have here should be plenty to get the job done. Now, if I kind of pull it down like that, oh, we're looking pretty elastic there. We've got a kind of a nice sheen on that side right there on the brush there. Let's do some mixing here. I don't know way it's looking, it could possibly be too wet. And so I just want to make sure we don't have any over wet spots, so get nice consistency here. Yeah, I think we're looking good. All right. One of you guys, I think it was maybe Ivermectin, said in my last Mitchell's Wool Fat Shave, this is really funny. He said, I hope that when I grow up, I can make Mitchell's Wool Fat Lather like that. It's kind of funny. All right, get my face wet one more time. One and a half days of growth is what we're going to shave off. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Should just move easily right through it here. How would I rate this razor in terms of aggression? What a good question. It cuts efficiently, and it'll sing a little bit for you in that first pass when you have more stubble. But then it does smooth out nicely toward the end, and I don't feel like I'm working areas over with something that's too aggressive. And so in a sense, I think I'd put it in a medium, type category. It's not super mild like a Feather ASD2 or various adjustables, maybe set at 1 or 2, This lather, I think I kind of nailed it. It's a little on the wet side. It might be on the wet end of perfect, but man, that looks terrific. It feels great on my face. In terms of a nice high performance, wet, slick lather, I think I nailed that part. And this brush feels nice. It does have some backbone there, but you just press it and it splays pretty well. But then it's not so stiff that it's overly scrubby, anything like that. And I do look forward to a bunch more uses where perhaps the bristles are even more splayed a little bit and give you a little bit more flex. I think that might put it in just a really perfect zone for me. It's in a nice zone where it is now, but I do wish for maybe a touch less backbone. So yeah, this lather's looking really good. All right, razor, Wizamet stainless. Wizamet, company that makes it. PolSilver stainless is the blade, and this is a gold rocket from the UK, Gillette. Oh, see, it's not even singing quite the same way as it did before. Cutting very, very easily. I mean, the hair is offering no resistance. A very comfortable cut. And so in terms of right now, how I'm feeling the aggression, I'm thinking it's like a 4 out of 10. Maybe 3.5, 3 or 4 out of 10. Just kind of depends on your perspective. It gave me a very close shave, the last one. And right now, even on the first pass, that's very interesting. Same blade. It's not singing the same way. I wonder why. Is it the lather? I mean, that's really the only variable, because I've got more stubble on my face. Could that make it kind of sing a little bit less, be a little bit less vocal? So I haven't really thought about that. Get some water on my face. So I do have some blade feel, a little bit of blade feel. Out of 10, 3 or 4, kind of along. I often associate blade feel with aggression, but I think they're probably separate metrics. Maybe I need to, in my database, add another little entry box for blade feel, because you can have some kind of blade feel that makes you hurt, you know, but then you can also have some blade feel that's very smooth and controlled. It all depends on how the blade is gripped by the razor and some other factors like geometry and things like that. But that might be worth separating out into two different metrics. Aggressive feeling or harshness, maybe harshness, and then the blade feel. Well, I don't know, I'll have to ponder that a little bit. We've got things like efficiency. It's just going through the hair easily. Of course, now we've got less on the face and very comfortable right now. And sometimes this is where you can practice your angles. When you've got a nice blade that has taken off most of the hair already. And so then, you know, if you can, on the second or third pass, you're dealing with a small amount of stubble. And so if you have a razor that's not really aggressive, that has a wide window of angles to use, if you've got one that's less so, then you can make sure that your angles are correct. Because if you, with the less hair, then if you move it across your skin and you don't hear anything, you don't feel it being cut, but then you do it again, you change the angle a little bit and then you feel it being cut. Now you know that first one was the wrong angle. The second one was a closer, more efficient angle, and so you can then learn. This is just the second pass, and I feel like I definitely feel like it's been such a close shave. This is a very controlled shave. You know, it's efficient. It's cutting well, and it's cutting, you know, fairly quickly. I don't have to do 3 passes, but then it's doing it pretty comfortably. We'll see if that irritation builds up like before. Because maybe it's the blade in the razor it could be kind of stealthily irritating. It could be near that line of cutting so close to the skin, but maybe a little bit more aggressive and harsh than that. And so it doesn't feel like it's being all that aggressive overtly, but then by the end of the shave, enough of that has been over the line enough to where you end up with a little bit of an aggressive feeling or a light irritation. Well, the 30 seconds of loading ended up to be plenty. I'm about to load up my brush for the third pass, and I've still got, you know, plenty of lather left. So if I use this tomorrow, I could probably reduce it. I mean, that's a beautiful lather. Mitchell's wool fat. Beautiful. Now, if it turns out that I kind of end up with that same irritating feeling, that it's got to be then because I don't feel it. I don't feel a residual, you know, irritation, and so I think it's got to be the. If I feel it now, it's just got to be the blade with the razor. It's just a little too efficient, and so then I'll maybe change to a different blade and see. That'd be really funny. I haven't come up with a vintage like this yet that is so efficient that it's just over the line, that it builds up, and then at the end it becomes something I look back and didn't really enjoy. Haven't really had that happen yet. This blade has been used by me and a few other razors, and it has not given me any kinds of problems with the others. So I don't think it's just the blade by itself. Just cutting very smoothly here. effortlessly still. Wonderful protection by the soap, nice glide. The razor is, I say that it's cutting very well, but it's also moving easily. Well hydrated lather. I still feel that slickness, and if there's just a tiny remnant of lather somewhere, I can just move it around and it just renews kind of my whole face, the feeling there. Very nice. So sure, I guess it's possible I did wake up a little bit of irritation from the previous day, but honestly yesterday's irritation didn't even track with me past the shave. And so I'm less inclined to think that's the case. I think maybe this razor and this blade are just kind of that deceptively mildly irritating. Just kind of roughing up my skin just a little bit with each pass. Now, the third pass is maybe optional, really, potentially. But yeah, let's try a different blade tomorrow in this razor, perhaps, because I know I have tried this blade in other razors with great success. So I don't believe it's the blade specifically. So weak spot potentially at this point, the razor, because I haven't used it very much prior to this these last few days. So let's put a different blade in it, see what happens. Face is still definitely a little bit wet. In terms of skin conditioning and stuff, the Mitchell's wool fat definitely usually leaves a person feeling nice about their skin, assuming you're not all that allergic to the lanolin. This is Dunshire from Stirling. So, maybe it was not the Le Perlucien vegan soap. It's looking like at this point, like it's this razor in combination with this blade. There, maybe I can kind of shop around and find blades that can be used in this little guy with more comfort by the end of the shave. I think if I had to use, if nothing changed, I didn't figure out anything, and if I had to use this razor on a consecutive basis with even this blade, this exact blade, if I had a never-ending supply of that kind of thing, I'd probably just stick with 2 passes, perhaps. And I bet I'd end up with half as much. And the irritation is very light, and so it would be easy just to go ahead and deal with it. Just say, well, that's how it's going to be, and that's fine, because it doesn't last long. But if I dropped that last pass, because after all, after the first one, I feel like I've got 97% of the stubble cut down, right? I mean, that's tremendous. And then the second one, you could almost consider a cleanup pass. And so then I bet I'd reduce that minimal irritation that I'm feeling. I bet I'd reduce it even further by not going to the third pass. Well, we have got tons. Not tons literally, but a couple extra passes here of lather, and it looks great. This was a terrific, yeah, look how elastic that is. That is nice stuff. Now, how does it feel? Does it feel too wet? Like if you were feeling this with your fingers, what would it, oh, it looks terrific. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It's always nice. It's a bonus when the soap does that. But yeah, it's very, oh man, I'm sorry you haven't been able to see that. There's that kind of sheen I was talking about. It does, if you get a big old clump of it, then it does have some cushion, some squeeze to it. But then it's just so hydrated, and it leaves a little kind of fuzzy, silky layer on your skin, and that is what the razor needs to do its job. Contact wise, you can feel that. You go back and forth and back and forth, and it doesn't go away. It just stays right there because it kind of bonds itself with your skin there, just exactly how a good protective lather should. So that's just good stuff. This is a really high performance lather, but it's got a nice luxury feel. My face felt great during the rinses. I liked it a lot. That was 30 seconds of loading on a puck that was not bloomed or soaked or anything like that. But it was just, it just had a little remnant moisture from 2 days ago. That's all kind of the moisture that it had. So we're not finding secrets out about Mitchell's wool fat because we've soaked it and saturated it with water. I think you can definitely avoid that if you want to. I think that's something that a lot of people think you need to do, but I don't really think you do. And the final tally is about 22 milliliters of water for those 30 seconds. And then if I were to use this again tomorrow, I bet I could drop it down to like 25 seconds of loading, and maybe even have the same amount left over because we're getting that residual water. We discovered that in August, right, with the Chiseled Face Midnight Stag. You're getting that residual water from the previous days, and so that affects how easy the soap is to load when you use it consecutively. Closeness today, very nice. I mean, it's really hard to find any tips right here that have any length to them. It's nice flush cut pretty much everywhere I can see, and it feels even better everywhere else. So this little guy is not a perfect brush. He is not right in the middle in terms of splay and backbone, that sort of thing. And so I'm putting out there not as the brush to meet everybody's needs, but if you like density, which a lot of these higher price knots have, if you like the backbone that's a little higher than medium, then this is the best buy for your money right here. And soft tips, very nice. And it does splay. You have to work a little bit to get it in splay, but as you can see by the knot, it's so big. It's got a lot of movement to it. It's got a lot of surface area, and so in a sense you don't have to splay it if you don't want to. I think my perfect zone is on kind of the other side of the middle, whereas here's the middle, and this has a little bit more backbone than that. My perfect brush might be just right over here, just kind of close to the middle, but just on the easier to splay side. Might be my perfect one. But for so many guys out there, this is probably one of the better values out there for you, in my opinion. And so I did a great job again today. All right, well, that is today's shave, and I hope there's been something in here to help you out. You guys, I wish you all the best. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care now. Bye.